Hello and welcome to Wildly Curious, a podcast that tells you everything you need to know about nature and probably more than you wanted to know. I'm Laura.
And I'm Katy. And today we're talking about volcanoes and the surprising things that they've made, buried, and accidentally made cooler. So I had buried, protected the pyramid, and then I talked about obsidian.
Made and made cooler.
Yeah, made and made cooler. I think this one is another made and made cooler.
Okay.
So this is about a snail that wears armor.
Ooh.
Okay.
Freaking
all right.
weird, but cool.
Yes. So let's start this one off with a question. What would you say is the toughest animal on Earth?
Well, I wouldn't have said it was
Knowing that
a
I just
snail.
told you the snail wears armor.
Wouldn't have been a snail. Toughest animal on Earth, I probably would have said is like, oh, geez. The arapaima, since we were talking about that, with those fish scales that are like basically bulletproof.
So it's that, people, crocodiles, that kind of stuff. It could very well be this.
I don't know.
Yeah, it very well could be this snail, though. So this scaly-foot gastropod, also known by its very scientific name, Chrysoloma squatiferum.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Thank you. I went into it fairly confident. So this snail was discovered in 2001, hanging out at the bottom of the Indian Ocean, about 2,400 meters deep,
Like a thermal
which
vent.
is well over a mile and a half deep, living in hydrothermal vents near this volcano.
Gotcha.
And these vents, they're deep sea hot springs, except instead of relaxing spas, it's scalding toxic chemicals, just zero sunlight.
Melt your face
nothing.
off. Yeah.
Yes. Melt your body off. Yeah. So what does this scaly-foot gastropod say? Perfect place to live.
I think we talked about hydrothermal vents in our Extremophiles episode.
We did. Yeah, we did. So depending on the hydrothermal vent and where you are, these vents pump out water that can reach temperatures of 350 degrees Celsius or over 660 degrees Fahrenheit, full of dissolved metals, sulfurs, and all kinds of stuff that would just destroy the average life form. Except for, like we talked about in that episode, there's nothing average that lives near these things because they can't. So that's where this snail didn't just tolerate this extreme environment, it has learned to thrive in it. It's developed a one-of-a-kind adaptation that makes one of the most fascinating. I didn't know that this thing even existed. So because its entire body, its shell, its foot, which is the bottom part that you guys see that comes along the snail, even the scales on this little squishy part are built for this whole thing. All right. So the snail shell has been made of metal.
What?
All right. Yes.
So normally, I guess, hold on real quick. Normal snail shells are secreted and it's calcium carbonate or something like that, right?
Something like that. It's some sort of calcium. Yeah. So this one, because of the environment, the shell of it is iron sulfide, which is pulled from the vents around it and pulled into its body. So this is the only animal on Earth that we know of that incorporates metal into its skeleton.
That's freaking cool.
Right? So here's how it works. The shell has three distinct layers. Layer 1 is the outermost layer, and it's made of the iron sulfide, like I said, with compounds like pyrite and greerite, which gives it a dull metallic shimmer. Think of a medieval knight kind of looking thing.
I already am thinking about the snail.
Right? There we go.
It's a little
Layer
tiny,
2 then,
snail.
Layer 2 then is a layer of protein. And then layer 3 is the innermost layer of the agranite. It's a type of calcium carbonate, like we said, that's common in the mollusk shells. So this armored snail, I guess this one is another one like the pyramids where it's protection, because the snail has grown to evolve there. Not a whole lot can. This little snail has only been found, now granted, it's not like we go around like exploring these hydrothermal vents all the time, but they have found in only 3 hydrothermal vent fields in the Indian Ocean. That's it. And because of that, they've classified it as critically endangered. Again, I'm not knocking the snail here,
right?
But it's like, how sure are we
that they're not in every hydrothermal vent? Yeah.
Like how well have we really explored them? Yeah. So anyway,
it's like a little Iron Man snail.
No, right? So it doesn't just live near the volcanoes or the hydrothermal vent. It literally depends on it. So the vents don't just provide warmth and everything for things down there. Instead of sunlight, because it's so deep, Life here runs in chemosynthesis, which we've talked about before. It's a process where bacteria feed on the chemicals coming from the earth deep within.
Right, rather than the whole sunlight food chain thing.
Yep. And so the snail, it's a walking partnership. So it houses a symbiotic bacteria and a special organ in its body, like an internal, bacteria garden. So the snail doesn't have to hunt, doesn't have to scavenge. It's like a quiet, like, chemical.
That is bananas. That's like those. Didn't we find like there were squid or something that have the glowing bacteria inside of them or something?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Where you're like, you are a house for bacteria. Like we've come to realize we all are, really. But but this is extra.
Yes. So the snail, it lives in total darkness at crushing temperatures with boiling chemical water around it. And then it powers itself from farming bacteria, which is inside of its own body.
Here's the food for thought. What if, you know how we've talked about bacteria and gut flora before, and you know how who's really in charge of this body, really?
Yes.
You know what I mean? What if the bacteria were like, how would we survive down here? And they basically forced this evolution of this snail to be like, put armor on it. Like,
yes,
you know what I mean?
Build it bigger. Yeah.
Like,
we need eyes now. We need like
yeah.
And it just over generations
and
of bacteria.
They were like, start sucking
so
in metal, suck in metal, and push it out because it's got to be
it's all
absorbing
these little blacksmiths in there, like go, work away. So yeah, it's a snail. I didn't know. First of all, I was like reading down through it, and there's so much more. Just if you just Google volcanic snail, I literally have scratched the armor surface of it.
Because as soon as you see a headline like metal snail, you'll be like, because it sounds like a Pokemon.
Yeah. Right?
There is a magma slug, right? There's like slugma or something, some magma slug.
Oh, I don't know.
There is, but I bet it's not. I bet it's not off of that. It's not a metallic one.
Yeah.
There should be. Pokemon creators. Here's your new one.
Come on, guys.
This is easy. Nature gave this one to you.
Yeah, right? You heard it here, folks. Next Pokemon coming from the Wildly Curious podcast. So anyway, volcanic snail. So I thought that one was pretty awesome. Because again,
cool.
I'd never heard of it. And then I was researching it more. I was, oh, wow, the metal with the shell and everything. I was like, that's really awesome. And then reading more about like how it depends on the vents because of the gut and how that relationship works. And that's literally how it survives of just producing its own food.
And they wouldn't exist without the volcanic vents. So all go back down to the volcano too.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. So anyway, really cool. All right, guys. Well, make sure you subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Help us out there. We have all the shorts and then these long videos that you can see. And then tune in next week for which will be the last episode of these minisodes. And then we'll be kicking off season 12 from there.
Cool. All right. Talk to y'all next week.